think he was an angry child. I think he just got his feelings hurt a lot. And I think his mother controlled him a lot. He never could speak up for himself, but he'd just go pout and go color his color books, you know, or go get on his beanbag and just watch TV, kind of like a whooped puppy in a corner, you know, just go back to my corner.
But I felt like a fighter coming up, man. I felt like, I'm being attacked for this reason or that reason, and I got to fight my way through this. That I was
You got beat up coming home from school.
Beat up in the bathroom, beat up in the hallways, shoved in the lockers.
Everyone has goals and aspirations, and everybody has been at a point in their life when nobody believed in them.
Okay.
Whoa, Nelly, tell Angelina Jolie I'm ready with petroleum jelly to smear it all over me belly. And tell her she can hit me on me more, but me selly and meat in the salami section of the grocery deli. And maybe we can find us an appropriate telly, a Motel 6 or 8, I think they both could be helly. Then I quit it, then I told her email me and don't call me, I'll call you, can you feel me? You smell me? Animal instinct, cannibalistic. I just ran out of lipstick, man I'm a twisted. Sick sadistic, son of a 666. Broke his crucifix, made out of sticks, then fixed it. Now play it backwards, muscle relaxers.
Marshall Bruce Mathers III, aka Eminem, aka Slim Shady, is one of the greatest American rappers in the world. He is a survivor, a father, a rap star, an actor, storyteller, voice of a generation, and a living legend. He is among the best-selling music artists of all time, with an estimated worldwide sales of over 220 million records. Born into a broken home, he was able to express himself in the words of his music. His lyrics are his life, his legend, his alter ego, and his therapy. To understand his music, we must first understand his life and the world he grew up in.
You can't clone that guy. You can't be a derivative white rapper. No one can even touch the guy.
In a world of manufactured pop and manufactured rock, this was a true artist.
His grandmother, Betty Crescent, grew up in St. Joseph, Missouri. Her mother left her father when she was 9 months old and brought her to live with her abusive grandmother. Growing up, she was beaten and abused by her grandmother. She always dreamt of a perfect life. At age 14, she got married to Nelson. Soon after she married, she gave birth to Debbie, Marshall's mother. Debbie couldn't stand the idea of sharing her mother's love with her siblings. After her younger brother was born, she tried to kill him in his sleep. Not long after, Betty's marriage ended and the children had to witness their mom bring in different men to the house. Debbie was assaulted by one of the men that came to visit their mother. She wanted to get out of the house so bad, she always tried to run away from home.
It wasn't that I didn't want to be around my brothers and sisters anymore, it's just I wanted my own life, I wanted my own child, and I wanted to get away from all that.
At age 14, Debbie met a man, Marshall Bruce Mathers II, and they were madly in love. He played in a local band and he was a quiet boy. Not long after they met, they decided to get married. In 1970, Debbie and Bruce got married and she got pregnant afterwards. On October the 17th, 1972, Debbie gave birth to Marshall Bruce Mathers III. She vowed to take good care of her child no matter the situation. She also vowed to stop doing drugs and to be clean for her child. Finally happy with her baby, Debbie and Bruce moved to Willitson, North Dakota, where Bruce took over his father's job at a hotel, and the couple lived in the basement of Bruce's father's house.
Best mother in the world, and I made a promise with God. Alcohol, the drugs, the drinking, the pot, any of that stuff. They would never go through that. The fighting, none of it.
Things began to get bad as Bruce was flirting around with other girls at the hotel. Debbie would get jealous and Bruce would beat her up. She wasn't happy in the marriage anymore. She didn't want her child to grow up in the kind of environment she grew up in. She packed her belongings and left Bruce to return home with Marshall, Eminem. She left on a train and headed for St. Joseph. That was the beginning of what was going to be many moves of his life. Marshall was only 9 months old when his mother left his father. Just like Debbie, his mother, and Betty, his grandmother, Marshall was now caught in the same cycle of parental abandonment. He never knew his father, but he never forgot him. After some years, Marshall tried to contact him. Debbie tried to contact him, but it was all in vain. Bruce disappeared from his son's life and didn't come back. After moving back to St. Joseph, Debbie tried to make ends meet moving from house to house. They moved from St. Joseph to Detroit about 20 times because she couldn't get enough money to rent a house.
We did move around a lot, but it was always to better ourselves because I could not stay with my birth mother at all. I mean, we were there a couple of days and that was like an eternity. And every time it would be like I'd rent a house, they'd sell it right out from under me.
In the middle of the chaos, Marshall began to find solace in music. He would always bounce whenever he heard music playing.
But now we had a mouse that ate the cheese out of the fridge. Didn't want to admit that I was on welfare when I was 3. Plus when I was 4, my mother used to leave. She used to always slam the door and say, goodbye, goodbye, Marshall. I'm leaving, I'm single, and right now I'm going to mingle at bingo. Yeah, see you later, alligators, what she said. Then I would always stay at house, freeze until I'm dead, cause it was cold inside the house. We never had no heat. Your roof used to come walking up right up the street and be like, yo, what up, Em? How you doing? I used to be like, yeah, man, it's good to see you, dog, but my life's ruined. Cause my mom just left. She left my brother Nate, and I hate the fact that we never had no food on our plate. So then Proof said, what up, Em? Yo, so I said, Proof, won't you come in?
Yeah, come in, what's up with that?
His teachers complained to his mother that he was mentally challenged and he wouldn't stop bouncing. He couldn't sit still. Growing older, Marshall would find escape in the world of superheroes and cartoon characters. He entertained himself a lot and he enjoyed being alone in his room playing with his toys and drawing superheroes. He was very artistic. He loved to draw different kinds of superheroes. He wanted to be Batman. He'd wear his costume everywhere he went. His artistic abilities provided a quiet retreat from the chaos of his society. Debbie and Marshall continued to move, changing school every 2 to 3 months. He was always behind in his academics. He was always the new kid in school because he had to change school every time. Ronnie Nelson, who was Debbie's brother, was only 2 months older than Marshall. While Debbie and Betty clashed about how to take care of them, the 2 boys would play together. They were so similar, which made them build a great bond, although the 2 boys didn't get enough time together as they were growing up. Debbie kept pulling Marshall away from Betty and Ronnie. As Marshall approached the end of his elementary school years, Debbie and Marshall finally settled in the Detroit area, a city known for violence and racism. There was a lot of violence and criminal activity, so much so that guards were placed in the streets. Marshall found himself to be the only white kid in a black community. They always lived in the neighborhood barely a step from the ghetto. He was the only white kid in his school, and he would get bullied by the other students. As a 9-year-old in a Detroit elementary school, he was bullied by an older student named D'Angelo Bailey. The torment started on the 15th of October, 1981, when Marshall was beaten up by this bully. He split his lip and knocked the wind out of him. More beatings occurred at the hands of Bailey, including one in a restroom that left young Marshall with injuries to his head, face, back, and legs. It was a snowy day in January 1982. Bailey nailed Marshall in the face with a snowball before beating him up. As a result of that attack, Marshall suffered a concussion and a temporary loss of vision in one eye. He was unconscious for 10 days. When he woke up from the coma, he suffered from severe headaches, loss of memories, vision, and hearing. He had to learn all the basic things over again, and he suffered from nightmares. In 1981, Ronnie played a song for Marshall that changed his life. A song titled Reckless, which featured Ice-T from the soundtrack to the movie Break-In. It was the first rap song Marshall had heard. He loved it so much that he took it from his uncle Ronnie and played it over and over again. He started to break dance and he would play the same beat over and over. He and his uncle Ronnie would make music together in his room. In 1988, Debbie adopted a 13-year-old girl, Kimberly Scott, and took her home with her. Marshall was very jealous because he had been the only child in the house. Kim started living with them and there was a kind of rivalry between them. No one would have ever thought that these two teens were involved sexually. One day, Debbie came home and found them in the room together and she asked Kim to leave the house. Marshall insisted that he was going to leave the house if Kim left, so he got kicked out of the house with his girlfriend and he stayed with his friends. Although the couple loved each other very much, they fought a lot of the time and were constantly in an argument. Kim would hit Marshall so bad when they fought. They would break up and come back together again. This relationship affected Marshall so much throughout his life. Living a life with repeated violence and abuse, Marshall would continue to be tested. On the 13th of December 1991, Ronnie committed suicide at the age of 19 by shooting himself in the head because he was having relationship problems with his girlfriend at the time. Marshall was destroyed on hearing about this sad news.
And who was that bitch in the crowd talking about Buck, Eminem, and Aristotle?
Fuck that. Fuck that. Love is love. Love is love.
What's wrong with you?
Don't, baby. It's all good. We got love for her.
I'm saying, you gotta keep it peace with everybody in here. Everybody in this motherfucker is trying to perform, you know what I'm saying?
Y'all.
Everybody's trying to get on, you know?
If we don't I want to say peace to my man. I want to say peace.
He blamed himself for the death of his uncle Ronnie. His mother had told him that Ronnie had called a few days before he died asking to speak with him, but he wasn't around. With the loss of his uncle and partner, Marshall was all alone with the dream of becoming a rap star. He started doing poorly in school. He failed his exams and had to repeat 9th grade twice. His mother was scared for his future. She was scared he was going to end up without any ambition. Marshall began to focus on his and his uncle's dream of becoming a rap artist. He began to make tapes in the basement of his mother's house. He was inspired by rap stars like NWA, Ice-T, and Public Enemy. He started to rap and to make tapes with his high school friend named Deshaun Dupree Holton, who called himself Proof. Proof was a good and respectful kid. He was always polite anytime he was at Marshall's. These two would always be in the basement practicing and making tracks. They would buy all the rap tapes and listen to them over and over again. Marshall was always criticizing the new local rappers. He would say he was better than all of them. He would challenge other local rappers in his community, which made him gain some publicity. He started going to open mics in the clubs, and he started to do freestyle shows in the city. However, the greatest test of his young life arrived when his girlfriend Kim got pregnant. His daughter, Haley Jade Scott, was born on Christmas Day, December 25th, 1995. Her birth brought a new sense of focus and determination for Marshall. He viewed fatherhood as a blessing, and it pushed him to working harder and perfecting his rap music. He worked double shifts for minimum wage. He didn't want to be like his father. He wanted to take care of his child, so he got a job in a local restaurant, Gilbert Lodge. He worked there for about 3 years. It was like his home when he wasn't getting enough recognition from his music, when he wasn't getting his tapes sold. It was a place he could always go back to. While working at Gilbert, he would write lyrics on different pieces of paper, on his palm. He would even rap about the food order and make sure that they rhymed. He was a natural writer. He would write words that rhymed and make them make sense. It was like he was decoding these words. In order for him to establish his reputation as a rapper, Marshall began to participate in rap battles at various Detroit clubs. There was a basement known as the Shelter where rap battles usually happened. Marshall had to rap in front of black people. He had the talent, but he wasn't taken seriously because he was white. No one wanted to listen to a white kid rap. The white kids didn't want to listen to black music, and the black kids didn't want to listen to a white kid rap. He would get into rap battles, and he was so determined. He was always dedicated in every rap battle, always fighting to win. Teaming up with Proof and local Detroit producers Jeff and Mark Bass, Marshall made his first record in 2-songs EP called Backstabbers. He used his tax money to press about 1,000 copies of the tape. He was able to sell about 200 of them. His first manager, Mark, founded the Underground Sounds magazine, which was a national hip-hop publication based in Detroit. The magazine paid attention to new local artists. They had a page for Eminem where he talked about his music. Even through a stormy relationship with his girlfriend Kim, the continuous struggle of raising a child, and the grind of working a minimum wage job, Eminem never gave up on his dreams. Eminem was soon signed to Jeff and Mark Bass's FBT production and recorded his debut album Infinite for their Independence Web Entertainment label. The album was a good album. Eminem would go to clubs to give out his tapes. That was how he met his first manager. The album was a commercial failure upon its release in 1996. One lyrical subject of Infinite was his struggle to raise his newborn daughter on little money. Eminem was able to get an interview with DJ Lisa, where he did freestyles on the radio. Though he was getting popularity for his talent and ability, he wasn't getting enough money to maintain himself and his family. He was left with a bill from his last album, Infinite. He was discouraged, and he felt like giving up on everything about music. He started to get depressed. He was fired from Gilbert, constantly fighting with Kim, and still clinging to the memories of his dead uncle. He tried to kill himself by swallowing a handful of pills. After recovering from the attempted suicide, he had a revelation. He switched up his rap style, which attracted more attention. He developed Slim Shady, a sadistic, violent alter ego. The character allowed him to express his anger with lyrics about drugs, rape, and murder. In the spring of 1997, he recorded his debut EP, the Slim Shady EP, which was released by Web Entertainment. The EP, with frequent references to drug use, sexual acts, mental instability, and violence, also explored the more serious themes of dealing with poverty and marital and family difficulties, and revealed his direct, self-deprecating response to criticism. He was fired from his job and evicted from his home. Eminem went to Los Angeles to compete in the 1997 Rap Olympics, an annual nationwide battle rap competition. He came second in the competition, and an Interscope Records executive that was present at the Olympics, Dan Geislinger, asked Eminem for a copy of the Slim Shady EP, which was then sent to company CEO Jimmy Levine. Levine played the tape for record producer Dr. Dre. Dr. Dre loved his rap style instantly, and he asked for Eminem to be brought to him. Although his associates criticized him for hiring a white rapper, he was confident in his decision. Dr. Dre signed Eminem to a recording deal with his label Aftermath. Eminem had idolized Dr. Dre since listening to NWA as a teenager and was nervous about working with him on an album. He became more comfortable working with Dre after a couple of sessions in the studio. In February 1999, Eminem released the Slim Shady LP. The result was instantaneous. His fame came like a flash flood, which caught a lot of people by surprise, including Eminem himself. The LP debuted at number 3 on the Billboard chart and would go on to sell over 1 million copies that year. Although it was one of the year's most popular albums, he was accused of imitating the style and subject matter of underground rapper Cage. This LP brought Dre and Eminem together, and they became more than just work partners. They became friends. On June 14, 1999, Eminem and Kim got married, but their relationship remained unstable. In July of 2000, Kim attempted to commit suicide by slashing her wrists. She recovered, but a month later, the couple separated. They reunited that year for a few months, but on March 1st, they filed for divorce. Weeks later, Kim filed a $10 million defamation lawsuit against Eminem. They decided to give it a second chance for the sake of their kids, and they remarried in January of 2006. Sadly, the second marriage lasted just 1 month, and they filed for divorce again. D'Angelo Bailey sued Eminem in 2001, accusing him of invading his privacy by publicizing unreasonable information that put him in a false light. The court cited song lyrics in which Eminem said that the school principal stomped on him, leaving him for dead. The court also ruled that Bailey failed to present a genuine factual issue in the suit. Eminem's mother sued him for $10 million in Michigan court, alleging that he slandered her as a drug addict in his lyrics on the Slim Shady LP. As a response to Eminem's lyrical criticism, Debbie recorded a song titled Set the Record Straight with a group called IDX. Debbie received a settlement of $1,600 after court costs. In 2005, Eminem's uncle and aunt, Jack and Betty Schmidt, sued him in Michigan, claiming that he promised them $350,000 for a house, plus maintenance allowance, but that he kept the house and tried to evict them. The judge dismissed the case and tossed the case out of court. Eminem had a tough childhood. He didn't have the normal kind of traditional upbringing. He was brought up in an unhealthy environment. One of the things that people who knew about Marshall before he became Eminem said was that he deserved every good thing that happened to him. He worked hard for his fame and he never gave up on his dreams. Eminem is the rapper, the songwriter. Marshall is the good father who always cared about his family, while Slim Shady was the hip-hop bully, the sadist that was bullied and beaten as a child. He's quite a complicated person, I think, which is why he is different from all other artists. He has stayed true to himself even after his fame. He never left Detroit after his fame. He had 2 of his biggest concerts in Detroit. He said to his fans that if they wanted to watch him perform, they had to come to his hometown where he grew up. The Slim Shady LP sold over 3 million copies. The follow-up album, the Marshall Mather LP, released in 2000, became the fastest-selling rap album in history. It was also the first album ever nominated for the Album of the Year Grammy. He is one of the greatest hip-hop artists in the world. You can make something of your life. It just depends on your drive. Eminem.